Why do people consider this to be so difficult and so tough? The government decide to block your website. You're also fighting sometimes the government and maybe even Google itself.
If you're the smartest in the room, and then you should not be in that room.
From a walk-in closet with all the girly dresses to covered with refugee blankets.
Leave behind things and move on.
The thing that works in the US, not necessary in some other markets. I don't think that any of the SEO tactics are dead yet.
The longer you are in the industry, you've been seeing that history.
In my experience, I've seen bigger websites drop because of the technical part, not because of the content part.
We started this podcast not to become very big.
But why is my website down? My optimization techniques are the best in the world. I think good SEOs should not have an ego. Nobody here in this industry is like inventing things. We're just figuring them out for ourselves and just sharing it with the community.
So welcome Maja, and today telling to my guests is that I'm very much excited to introduce Maja Jovančević to my show, and it's been an honor that you are sitting in front of me and we both wearing black. That's amazing. We did not decide it before. I'm telling you, this is not scripted, okay? But yes, very excited, and welcome to the business podcast with Gundeep, and I am really excited. So tell me about yourself. Let the audience know who you are. How did you? Just a small brief about your journey so that people know that who is Maja.
Okay, so I think career-wise, what people don't know is that I am vocationally a professor of French language and literature.
Correct.
And that's my degree, but I completely switched my occupation when I was, I think, like 27 or something. And then I went into SEO because I was always very, very, very interested in marketing and everything else that's like more dynamic than just teaching. But the teaching side actually stayed with me for the longest period, and it evolved into me really, really loving to share knowledge, train people, and mentor people a lot, which is something I've done throughout my career. I was born in Bosnia by Croatian Serb parents, so I technically have 3 citizenships, 2 passports. And I love to travel. I do stand-up comedy on the side. This is a hobby of mine that fulfills me a lot. And I think like that would be me in short.
Very good. Now, for the audience, I must tell that she is the queen of iGaming SEO by profession. And she is not trying to show off here, but I must tell the audience that she is really killing in iGaming SEO, and she's a big name. And we're glad that you're here. And let's begin. So, quite excited. So, yeah. I wanted to ask you first about, let's start with the iGaming SEO, right? Why do you think iGaming SEO is hard? Everybody says that it's difficult to enter, especially the newbies. And we've seen people telling everybody that you cannot enter adult SEO or iGaming SEO. It's really hard. It's really, cutthroat competition. Can you put some light on this?
Well, to be honest, Gundeep, that's a very good question because I have been asking the same question myself, because in history, like I've done a lot of very, very difficult SEO. I've been a little bit in the adult industry. I've fought booking.com in the travel industry. So for me, when I came into iGaming SEO, I actually heard the reputation, and that was one of the reasons why I was drawn to it. I think at this point, if you ask me why iGaming SEO is difficult, it's not just you're not fighting just your competitors in the SERPs. You're also fighting sometimes the government and maybe even Google itself.
Yes.
So exactly. So let me give you a couple of examples regarding that. So for example, you can have a website that's promoting certain casinos, and then certain market is going to go through regulation, and they could block your websites unless you comply. And then obviously, or they can just block it because somebody else doesn't understand, like that you have implemented certain things because they don't see it. or for example, let's say Google crawls from the US. You need to block US. Some people do when they block Google crawlers. So
Yes.
like there's a lot of things that are like from the government that's necessary there to be there. And there's also the fact that PPC as a competitor in the SERPs in the iGaming industry is not as widespread because you need a license and it's not
Correct.
allowed in all markets to kind of run PPC ads.
Yes, 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 yes.
So there's also the black hat PPC, but
Yes.
like in the white
Farming
hat.
accounts and stuff. Yes,
Exactly, exactly,
yes.
exactly, exactly. So I think like iGaming SEO is very exciting, but to be honest, I think like the difficulties might lie that you just don't have the competitors, but you also have with big budgets, you have the competitors with big budgets, like in
Correct.
other niches, but you also have to fight the government and the rest of the regulations and everything else that's
Correct.
happening. Also,
Got.
you are into your money, your life section of the website,
Mm-hmm.
so that
Mm-hmm.
also rises a certain amount. But like unlike doctors, it's not like we can go full on EEAT in all of the markets and everything. So
Exactly.
it's tricky, I would say. Yeah.
But I think that's what it makes it so exciting, I think, at the same time, right?
Yes, 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 very much, very much.
Correct.
It actually, I think like iGaming SEO has taught me more about SEO than all of my previous experience combined. And I've
Amazing.
only spent, I think, like 7-ish years in iGaming SEO.
Wow. When you say 7-ish years and you say only 7 years, I this is very much I can see that you're so much consistent, and that's what I think is a message to the viewers and to the public is that I think these days, especially the younger generation, is being quite the patience is not there. What I'm trying to say, and in your career 7 8 10 years is nothing. It's I think it's evident you should put time into such things, and sometimes people expect like 1 year or maybe 6 months or 2 years we're going to be the pros and stuff. Things happen, the information and knowledge is there, but I'm glad you when you say only 7-ish years, that shows that how much consistent, how much patience you have. Am I right about that?
Very much true. I think like within the younger generation, the Dunning-Kruger effect is very much in place. People who don't know a lot think they know too much just because of like certain successes or something.
Correct.
Then when I look at this, like when I think of myself, like back in 2013, when I held my first lecture on the SEO topic, like I like it because it was my first lecture in the industry, and I think like the first lecture by a woman SEO in Serbia, back then. But like I think like at some point in 2013 they were calling landing pages the doorway pages, and then
Yes.
it all like morphed all the way, and now when I look at that lecture, I'm all like, oh my God. But
Amazing.
yeah, it is consistency in SEO. I think is very important. You need to be
Yes.
on top of trends, and you need
Yes.
to follow what's happening in the industry, and you need to follow
Correct.
what's happening, how the industry is developing. Otherwise, you won't
True.
stay current. I don't think years of experience are necessary in SEO. I
Yes.
think you can find a lot of excellent SEOs with like 2 years of experience, etc. It all really much depends on the mindset.
Yes.
But I really think that because I've seen a lot of things, my detective mode is a little bit more detective than maybe
Great.
somebody else's who
Great.
hasn't
Great.
seen a lot of things.
Great. Got it. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. So now I want to know that you, as you just mentioned in the introduction as well, that you've been a French translator, or you wanted to be a French translator, right? You've been a professor in French, right? And
Yes.
you wanted to become a French translator, and but how did this pivot come? How did from that kind of career you shifted towards this? I just want to know about this.
Well, during my college years, I've realized that like I needed something dynamic. And so during my college years, I actually spent 2 years working at a local TV station as a TV presenter because I was very comfortable in front of camera. I also organized a lot of events, and I loved event management, and I thought that that was like really nice for me. I just loved organizing things. It was just like, like bringing things to fruition was something that I really, really liked. And then I went to live in Paris for a year while I was studying, and then I realized how tough the life of a person who is, let's say, an immigrant, in a different country without an actual skill that people are willing to pay for. And then I told myself, like, if you ever go and live outside of your own home country, you are going there as sought out labor, as an expert who are people willing to pay for, and who will treat differently. And then I talked to myself, like, what is it that you could do that could be competitive in today's market? And it was marketing. And by chance, I actually got to work for an Australian agency who had an office in Serbia. The owner of the agency was Dan Petrovic, who is, and even today is a very big name in the world of SEO. So I
Yes.
was very, very fortunate to learn my first SEO steps from him and
Right.
from everybody, all the wonderful people that I've worked with at that job, who have then started their own agencies and went into gambling or went elsewhere.
Wow.
Like, there's a
Wow.
lot of people
Amazing.
that I
Amazing.
met. So that's how it
Wow.
started, I guess.
Wow. Now I have a question here, actually, a follow-up question to this. You said two things which I have noted down to ask you. One is that you said that you worked with Dan, right? And he's
Yeah.
a big name in the industry. So do you recommend people that they should actually work with someone who's quite reputed, who's quite good at, quite pro? Do you recommend new SEOs or new, maybe anyone in their industry, to work with the pros of the industry first and find out their initial steps and get a better training than an average, or maybe trying to freelance or trying to find out on their own? Is it a good idea to start with that kind of journey?
I would say 1000% yes. And I think a lot of SEOs agree with me because, and here's the thing I found out, Gundeep, and I'm going to share this with you. I don't think I've ever told this to anybody, but like, the reason why I actually speak at conferences and why I actually mentor people a lot, etc., is that I feel that you can attract SEO talent to work within your team with two major incentives. One of them is obviously money. And if you
Mm-hmm.
have big budgets for salaries, like, obviously you can attract top talent, and they're gonna come and they're gonna give you their talent for that money. It's a lovely exchange. But the other one is if people believe that there is something more that they could learn in your team.
Correct.
SEOs are always hungry for knowledge. And if they
Yes.
believe that they can learn something in your team, they're willing to even, like, consider like less of a pay if they believe that the payout is there. And I
True.
believe that to be with the influencers. I believe that to be within my team as well. And
Wow.
that is why I love to showcase the knowledge of my team and me in particular, just because I really, really, really just because I really want people to see us as an opportunity to grow and to be able to um, trust us with their careers. And
Amazing.
that is one of the reasons why I love being present in the community. I love helping people. It's
Amazing.
because I'm really, really invested in attracting top talent.
Wow.
And that's something. And you can only attract top talent if they believe that they can learn something from you.
Yes, yes. Even I have been following a similar kind of strategy. So I'm mostly into local SEO, and our agency is 360. We do ads, and we also do that. You were talking about ads and farming accounts and stuff. We've been also doing that, but that's one part of the things. But as an overall agency, so as an local SEO expert and doing it since like, I think, 12, 14 years, that's similar mindset that I've been like, I am known for local SEO and stuff. So people actually join the same way you said, they may come on a lower salary bracket than what is offered, but they actually SEOs want to learn. And this thing I have seen that yes, because they want to learn, it's my job to actually give that kind of exposure to them. I think exposure is also one thing that people are also willing to get, because working in an agency is a boon. It comes with pros and cons, but I think you also agree to me that the best part is that a lot of different kind of scenarios we have,
Exactly.
right? Different types of clients. One is in maybe an HVAC in San Diego. Other one is maybe a doctor or a physio in maybe Houston, right? So, and different competition, different scenarios, different kind of CPC, if we're talking about ads and stuff. But I have a question here. I'm facing an issue that right now, like if you've heard that if you're the smartest in the room, and then you should not be in that room. So, do you also believe in hiring people who are better than you, who knows what you don't know? Maybe someone who's more technical than you. So, what's your take on that?
Absolutely, absolutely. I personally don't think like with SEO that you're even that it's even possible to be the smartest person in the room, because there's
Right.
always like somebody who's gonna come with a different perspective, with a different way of working and doing things, and that might work at some point. So I think an SEO who thinks they're a smartest person in the room, they're probably most often wrong. But also, as you said, they are probably in the wrong room. I think it's very much important to surround yourself with excellent SEOs. And I think like at a higher level, higher as you go, it's your soft skills and your management skills that kind of go into kind of become the main focal point of your expertise, rather than your SEO skills. However,
Got it.
it's also very, very much necessary for you to stay in touch with everything that's happening with SEO, so you could guide the strategy and understand everything, and just basically be a sounding board for the amazing people that you work with, or actually yourself, because I still love like doing the nitty gritty when it comes to SEO. I love like being on point, being on site, and just figuring things out myself, especially
Very good.
auditing websites after an update.
Very good.
So yeah, I do believe that. Yes.
That's a very good bottom to top approach. There's a book called Working Backwards. It's on the situation of Amazon, that how Amazon grew, and the one thing which is that the senior management and even at the founding level, they for the important stuff they also go top to bottom and bottom to top. So they know stuff. It's not that you're just a high level, high level stuff that works. That is for most of the things, but for some things you need to see everything, and I think that's a very good approach and a very good point you just mentioned. And one thing you just said, I just noted it down, is that you said that you are good at organizing things. You like organizing things, and I think because of that also helps in this kind of position. And because of that, you're able to you like doing the nitty gritty of the things because you have a habit of organizing stuff, right?
I
Amazing,
do. I do, 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 do,
amazing.
do. There are parts of my life that are in total chaos.
That happens.
Because you need
We-
the creative chaos
yeah,
around you,
yeah,
I think. Like,
correct.
but in
Nice.
general, like I think like everything else is very well organized and managed.
Correct,
Yes.
correct. I think we're humans, and we tend to play around as well. We're not machines to just do what we just ought to do. Okay, amazing, very good. Okay, so just for the background and for the audience, I must repeat this: that you were born in Bosnia, and after that you were, and because of the Yugoslavian war, I think you moved to Serbia with your family. You were very young at that age, right? And so now I'm very excited about this question. It's touching your personal life. I hope you're okay with that. But this is important for me to know actually, that I have seen when people, or especially children, when they grow up and they grow up in harsh environments or something which is not very, you know very predicted or that kind of stuff, so they always tend to be better humans. They tend to be better, resilient people. That they are better in many ways. They know they are survivors basically. They are that kind of, we see this every day. We read books about such kind of people. So can you tell me that, Does this getting raised in a situation like a war situation and then moving countries, switching places, has helped you in better decision making, has helped you being a better human being, or maybe is the reason behind what you are right now?
I I think it changed me a lot because if my family is right in telling me how I was as a kid, I think I was very, very, very spoiled as a kid. I was extremely spoiled as a kid. There was not a wish I had that my parents didn't fulfill for me. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden, like you go from a walk-in closet with all the girly dresses to, like being covered with refugee blankets and not
Right.
having anything but a bag to your name. And I think it's like it's a thing that changes you on the inside, and it taught me a couple of things. First of one was be brave, and because life truly is short and you never know what's going to happen. So please don't get into a situation where you're going to regret your decisions. So be
Amazing.
brave and go after what you want, and don't worry about the consequences, because truly nothing could be worse.
Wow.
And then
Amazing.
on the other hand, it has taught me to look at the world with with a lot of gratitude, just for, I think, like, like being alive today. And I tend to be grateful for everything that happens to me, like even the ups and the downs. I kind of take a look at them as life is finally teaching me to make some decisions that maybe I've been too lazy to do or something like that. And
Amazing.
whatever happens in my life, I embrace it. And to be honest, it changes a little bit. It changes you profoundly, but I think it also amplified who I really was um,
Amazing.
at the
Very well
beginning.
said.
So yeah, it was a very, very, very important event in my life, I would say.
Very good. Very well said. Very well said. Amazing. Touched, must say. Yes, okay. But I think this also helps you in maybe taking better approach towards risks. Maybe you are more equipped with your senses to understand and quickly make decisions. Or just you just said one thing that you were without baggage. You just had one baggage and you were like this on you just blankets and stuff. So I think people must know that it's not easy. It's very easy to say this, but it's not easy to leave everything behind and just leave, right? And this also makes you a person who can anytime in life leave behind things and move on. This thing I think is embodied in you, what I can even you might not know, but in your subconscious, in your
No, no,
DNA, it is embodied, I think.
correct.
Amazing. Let's now talk about iGaming SEO more, and let's talk about SEO in general more. Okay. So people say it's an elephant. iGaming SEO is brutal. It's the hardest part. From operating in this industry of iGaming SEO, what is the business instincts you've created for yourself?
Operating in the iGaming SEO industry, what would be the business instincts I've created for myself? I think like you have to be. I think like in iGaming SEO, you cannot just optimize it and leave it. It's
Correct.
impossible. You really need to be on top. The SERPs are changing too fast. You really need to be on top to figure out what's happening, why this website grew all of a sudden, why this website went down, etc. So you can't just optimize it and leave it. Like you have to be really, really, really present. You have to look at the pages. You have to analyze everything. And like from time to time, like every 6 months, you should probably do like a full audit of your website just to see like what's happening there.
Okay.
And and that's, I think like that would be the main thing.
So that means that in iGaming SEO, the things are moving more quickly. They're more like you have to be very cautious because obviously the revenue is also huge in such
Yeah.
niches, and you need to be very careful because maybe one position up and down can really affect the revenue quite well, right? So you need to be on your toes in such industries in iGaming SEO especially. Am I right?
Yes, 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 absolutely. I think like that was the first time where I've actually had like the connection in the obviously in the iGaming SEO affiliation. Like with the operator, it's a little bit different, but like here, like if you lose a position one, it could be like, I think like the biggest market where I've seen this happen was Italy, where you actually just like lose one position for a couple of keywords and then your traffic goes down like significantly. So much so that people think you've been hit. And
Oh,
I've seen a lot of SEOs, like sharing, like, oh, this website has been hit, etc. And then, the website, you check it and it's just like one position down. Technically, it's
yeah.
not been hit, but
Correct.
like you see, like the estimated search volume that the second position gets in Ahrefs rather than the first position, which is obviously a little bit different in Google Search Console. Like people sometimes think that you've gotten hit, but you've also
Correct.
just dropped it. And I think like Italy was the market where I learned that first, like a long time ago, and that was actually my first surprise, and that happened in the gambling industry. It was yeah, it was very interesting.
Amazing. Very well. Very good insights, must say. Amazing. So we've discussed about search engine that it's restrictions from the point of search engine as well. In even the geos, maybe the country has restrictions. It's not legal in some countries. So what are the tactics you've been using, or maybe you want to share a tactic which is right now dead, which is maybe not working right now, but it used to work like a charm for you maybe in the previous days?
Okay. Here's the thing about SEO in general. Different markets require different optimization tactics. The thing that works in the US probably is not necessary in some other markets, like Malaysia or maybe
Yes.
even India or something. It really depends. Even in another English speaking market like South Africa, if I had to pick one, it would probably be something that like got discontinued like in 2000 and like who knows when, like the keyword stuffing part. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that will work anywhere.
Yes.
But it really depends on the market. So you really need to audit the market specifically. Your competitors, like what Google likes, what Google processes in its data center, like the requirements to enter a certain market, etc. So a lot of these things you need to audit them from scratch. And I don't think that any of the SEO tactics are dead yet. They
Okay.
just kind of still work in some markets.
Yes. Or
Exactly.
maybe with a different probability, maybe something is the ratio of that doing that stuff is changed, but still things work. Even page rank still exists. So that's how it is. It's the amount of ratio has changed maybe, but still that is why the time is the biggest asset in SEO. The longer you are in the industry, you've been seeing that history. So I always say that you learn from the history, and still in even in marketing, in SEO also, that makes sense that you learn from the history. If it has worked in the past, it might still be working in a different way, right?
Exactly. I mean, the reasonable surfer part of the algorithm used to be called the random surfer part of the algorithm. And then obviously, like everything changes, Google is adapting and they're changing their algorithm
Correct.
to understand. Then it's all very exciting. Like if you're
Correct.
passionate about SEO, you're very excited about figuring out what works
Yes,
now.
yes. It's a figuring out job, and that's what it's the beauty of it. You cannot just follow a process. It's so much diversified. All right, time for a sponsor break. This episode is proudly sponsored by Kings Digital, the marketing agency that I, your host, Gundeep Singh co-founded. At Kings Digital, we specialize into scaling businesses, optimizing growth strategies, and turning your ideas into brands that people can't stop talking about. You might be thinking self-promotion in your own podcast. Well, that's quite bold. That's because that's exactly what we do for our client. Bold strategies that bring results. So if you're a business owner or an agency wants to level up your marketing, your processes, whether it's SEO, ads, social media, performance marketing, we're building a killer brand presence for you. If you want us to audit audit your website or your ads campaign, just fill up the form below. We will get back to you with a full-blown SEO audit, a complete 6 to 12 months SEO roadmap tailored to your business, and a step-by-step video walkthrough breaking down exactly how to fix and scale your organic traffic. This isn't some cookie-cutter checklist. Trust me, our team spends an entire day crafting this report. Trust me, if we're good enough to sponsor ourselves, we're probably good enough to help you crush your goals. Alright, that's enough of us now. Now let's get back to the show. But now let's talk about the process as well, because obviously there are processes, there are things there's a checklist which we follow. So next question is about that as well, is that without revealing anything confidential, of course, can you tell me an approach about iGaming SEO, which you like? There's a website, if it has come to you, what would be your mental checklist or a checklist which you would follow and there's a website or there's a client of iGaming SEO? What would you initially do? What would be your checklist?
Okay, so for example, if I had a website that's been given to me, I would first figure out like where we are at the moment.
Okay.
So this is the scenario that we're doing. So like obviously the approach would be different whether I'm launching a website from scratch, whether I'm recovering, etc. But let's say I gotten a new website and I need to grow the traffic, you know.
Okay.
So like for me, I would have to figure out obviously like what the market is, who the competitors are, and then start auditing the website to see where we are benchmarking against this. So when we were in Chiang Mai, I actually told Koray that I've used his framework to kind of find a way to reverse engineer and audit the website instead of just like grow them and optimize them. So like that's a process that I've devised for myself, and it works really well for me. In order to kind of intent pages, to audit pages by cluster to see if the intent is communicated the right way with the main elements. It's actually very simple to do, but after you do the crawls and extractions and everything else that you need to do, the next thing is basically your own approach and mindset and audit. So like that is something that you can't really teach people, but for me, it works really well. And I would audit, and then I would find like actionable insights that need to happen on the actual content side. And then what happens is the technical audit, because like the next big thing in SEO, which is what I've spoken, I think like in the first book that we have published together with James, that was about the advanced SEO tips. And I underlined that people need to understand that this year we need to think about Google's resources for crawling. And I've also said this in one of the other podcasts, it's very much important to optimize your website so it doesn't waste Google's resources. Yes. Because it's really important today when everybody has AI and can churn content like in a minute. You really need to be aware that Google needs to crawl and be able to crawl, process, and index your resources properly. And you cannot have any technical objections to that or make its job any more difficult. And if you have a really big website, this part is actually very important, because in my experience, I've seen bigger websites drop because of the technical part, not because of the content part. Because when you have like really big websites, the technical part can be really debilitating. Obviously, if you have shit content, it's not going to be easy for you to recover after you fall it. But the main fall might be caused by the technical part. So you really need to take that into consideration. For the smaller websites, in my experience, the technical part is one of the things that you can polish, but it's not going to be the thing that is going to. It's not the main thing that you should worry about, unless you are actively preventing Google from understanding the information that you have on your website. So that, and then obviously the backlink audit, and then the backlink audit needs to be in the same, I think, like both as the authority audit, because like certain authorities can handle some sort of like worse backlinks, but some really need to have like a really good profile, and it's tough to do a backlink audit. People don't think
Correct.
it's easy. It's tough to do a backlink audit because you don't know which websites are actually harming you and which websites are actually good for you. Some SEOs are divided whether you should have a disavow file or not. I actually think you should, but you should be very, very, very conservative with your disavow file, I think. And
Yeah.
maybe it's better to add than to subtract. I think links are very, very important. So as you
Yes.
have seen, like it's the three pillars of SEO, like
Yes.
content, technical, and this.
Yes. Yes.
Obviously, I would take a look at the UX. I would benchmark it across with the rest of the competition. But SEO always comes down to those three main pillars, right?
Correct. 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 I've noted a lot of things. I'm noting down.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you want to dig in deeper in any of my answers, just feel free. I love that we
Yes.
have this very
Right.
impromptu part of the
Yes.
conversation.
Yes, it's the fun part is that whatever you mentioned, it was if someone understands this what you just said and actually decodes it, you've given a very good strategy actually. You've mentioned all the three pillars which are most important, and how to do it. You mentioned everything. I think I've marked this clip down so that we repurpose it in a way that it is useful for the audience, and I think you've done a brilliant job explaining it. And now I have a lot of questions on this. Okay, so you talked about semantic SEO, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned about Koray, and you mentioned about you mentioned that you met him and you told him that your system works for me, right? And even I discussed with Carl in his podcast that he also mentioned that people in iGaming and casino SEO forget about semantics, and they directly move on towards the link building and all that PBNs, which is important, which is vital. But I think your home base, your website, you need to be perfect on that part first and then move on to that things, right? So has semantic SEO, has Core framework helped you in achieving better results in casino SEO?
I think so, yes. I loved, I mean, for me, as I said, like I based my content audit framework
Yes.
on his semantics. So like
Yes.
I just use the teachings and then I audit to see if the intent is there, like per cluster. And then obviously like there are part of the architecture that are also easy to help and easy to do. But also I think like the main thing that I really liked came from one of his lessons in that happened in Saigon, I think,
Yeah.
was when he outlined, I think like something like there are 48 rules, or I don't remember the number, but there are 48 rules in the way you should write the content. And then he listed, I think, like 14 of them. So I took those rules and I actually just basically, and this is what I do. Like I like to listen to other SEOs and I really like to adapt their strategies.
Okay.
And when I hear like a good SEO speak about things that I really like, I try to think like, how could this be relevant to your situation, Maya? How could
Yes.
you simplify this? How could you scale this? And how could you implement this? And
Right.
then what happened to me is that I took one of his lectures, I noted down all the things that he was saying, and now I'm playing with trying to get a ChatGPT and both Jasper to try and get me a content. So like I feed them content and they give me the content written by Koray's rules. So
Wow.
that's my pet peeve that I've been trying to
Wow.
figure out like these couple of weeks now.
Right.
I think I'm there yet. I still think that like a person could do a better job at this point, but I know that sometimes these things are not scalable, and that
Right.
sometimes kinda you're okay with like that being done 70%. Even Koray himself says that like from this list that he has given, he does only like two rules. Yeah, yeah. So he only does two rules. So on my end, I I think if you employ all the 14 ones that he has mentioned, I have actually seen pages start to rank right away and basically for the keywords that they were supposed to. And also not just that, but also be in the knowledge graphs and end up in people also ask, etc., if done correctly. And I don't think that he has invented any, like warm water. I think it's all in the patents. It's all in, there's Bill Slavsky's blog, and you can still find it online. I really, really recommend people to read it and to kind of understand. It's really necessary if you want to rank on Google to kind of understand like what they are prioritizing. And then you test it in certain markets because it's not as strong in all of the markets.
Yes, and Koray, you might be listening to this. It's a very powerful hack she's been using, and I think it's very smart. Understanding the framework, making it simplified, and then actually training your GPTs and making a process, an SOP out of it. I think that's a very good role of a CEO or a person who's managing SEO and leading SEO. You're doing a great job. Amazing. And yes, one thing more you just said, I agree to this, that what Koray has done, I've been talking to him, and I've done my first podcast was actually with Koray. I have seen him as a person. He's actually, what he's done is not something which is not available in the internet. It's not something which is an alien technology. It is actually there. The game is of simplifying, understanding, first of all, reading the patterns, understanding the depth of that thing, and then simplifying it, making it a proper process, and then giving it to the audience. And that's what we've been doing, we've been doing that, understanding that knowledge and then simplifying it for our own process and then testing out in different markets. I think that's the best way of doing it, and I think you've done a brilliant job here, must say. Amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
I hope so as well. It's just for me because Koray is not simplifying it.
Yes, he's not simplifying, he's explaining in yes, that's true. We have to simplify actually. Yes, that's true. I know he might be looking at this, he might be seeing this, I'm very sure.
Yeah, fair enough.
Great. A feedback for him.
No, I think this works for him really well. Like,
Yes,
if
yes,
he's
yes.
really truly interested in SEO, they're gonna figure it out. But
Correct,
like, he's
correct,
not
correct.
simplifying it. He's not at all.
Yes. Moving on. Okay. So let's talk about strategic thinking now. Okay. Because I think you've been very much active on that part. Whatever we discussed right now is very much understandable that your strategic mindset is something you've been leveraging. I can see. Let's talk about in-house SEO teams and the deliverables. So I think it is too much. The deliverables are when we on paper discuss that we want this skill set or this kind of uh, deliverables in my team. So I think that's something sometimes overestimated, or that's mostly, even if we talk about people or companies who are trying to hire in-house teams, they desire more from them, right? Now, so what do you think is more important in a person when we are looking to or maybe setting up a team? What do you look more in SEO teams or in an SEO person or a skill set, and what do you think is something which is not for you or is something gibberish?
Gundeep, that is such a difficult question, but thank you for asking it. I'm still trying to figure that one out, man. But let me tell you where I'm at. I always try to hire the best SEO that I can for the position. And sometimes it turns out that they don't have the necessary management skills if they are on the team
Yes.
lead position, etc. And that is when I need to step in, coach, and train them to do that. And a lot of SEOs are really not interested in managing people. They're not really interested in, like managing other people. And managing other people is not just, it's like managing their workload, organizing their workload. It's a lot of very unattractive things that happen. But like for me, I like that. It's part of my personality. I like that. So for me, it works. So I'm still trying to find the best ratio, But I would like to say that now, with like all the years in managing teams, I am inclined to kind of hire somebody who's not the best SEO, but has the right mindset, but also can manage the team properly, because I can help with the knowledge, I can help with the strategy, and I can help with this, but it would take me too much time to kind of start and help with management.
Correct.
I think like that is where I am at. Many SEOs might not agree with me or might have a little bit of a different approach, and I would love to hear that. I heard that Matt Singers has a lot of has a very very good book about managing SEO and
Correct.
just managing everything, and I'm very excited to read it. I haven't started yet. So I hope that these are some of the insights that I've been looking for. But it is a very, very important question, and I'm happy that you asked it. I'm still trying
Amazing.
to figure that one myself.
It's a very difficult question, and the reason I asked is because I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah, I know. I know, right?
Yes, and you know what? I must tell you one thing. We have a rule in our company. I'm just admitting it on camera, and I'm telling you for the first time is that we started this podcast. The objective was not to actually become very big in podcast industry or anything like that. So actually, why we're doing this is actually because this is the best way to learn as well, and we've committed ourselves that with every guest we bring on the podcast, with every guest who's coming here, we pick one, at least one thing, and we implement that. And we've been doing this from the day one. So now, why I'm discussing this, because you talked about Mads Singers, right? And you know, his podcast was actually a very good knowledge base for us. So we're implementing everything what he said in the podcast. What should be the team structure? What should it was a master class for me actually, and I must say people should all actually watch this podcast. And we are implementing that. We're implementing the way we should manage whatever he said. We're trying to do that, and it has been showing good results till now. So from doing everything from for ourselves or doing everything on our own, we're able to delegate very nicely. What was a major takeaway for us? We're able to hire better people than us, which was a major dilemma for us, that we were good SEOs but we were not good managers. So that's what we're trying to diversify into, and I think that's making a lot of sense. That's what you're trying to say, that you need a better mindset person rather than a better SEO, because you can help him with the SEO, you can help that guy with the strategies or the process you might have built over the time, so person can adapt and grasp the strategies. But a mindset is much more important, I think, what you're trying to say, right? Very well
Exactly,
said.
exactly. I completely agree with you. And I think it's very much important for us to kind of understand, like, and to learn all of those soft skills. Trust me, as a Balkan person, I had no soft skills. I'm still trying to acquire them, I think.
You don't know, but you have it. It's like this.
Yeah,
People tell
exactly.
you mostly. It happens. People tell you better than what you think you are,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly, exactly. But like it taught me a lot of like I needed to acquire soft skills, and I needed to hone my management skills. And I think like SEO is kind of going there as well. So like there is this I don't want to call it the thing, but like it could be a movement called the product SEO. And I think like the main speaker for that is Gus Piloja, I think. That's how you pronounce his name. I've spoken with Gus at Brighton SEO last year, and I've been following him ever since. And he has a lot of very, very good insights. And he could actually be the next person on your podcast if you want.
Uh-huh.
I can make the introductions.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes, please do that.
No worries, no worries, no worries. Because like it's very interesting how he actually thinks about SEO. I mean, nobody here in this industry is like inventing things. You know, like we're just figuring them out for ourselves and just sharing it with the community. That's what
Correct.
Koray is doing. That's what Gus is doing.
Yes.
That's what Dan is doing. That's what
Yes.
everybody who is like a thought leader in the industry. That's what people are doing. So you as well. So I think like when I say this, we are all growing and as SEOs and as managers, and we are all sharing what has worked for us. And that is what I love about this industry. Like, even if you share, even if I share all of my knowledge with you, it doesn't mean that you're going to be as successful.
Exactly, that's true.
We take things from other SEOs all the time. We are the most, like the industry where we inspire by everybody. That's because I think good SEOs should not have an ego. And the reason why I think that is because if you have an ego, then you think that your optimization techniques are the best in the world, and the next update comes in and your website goes down, and you're like, but why is my website down? Like, my optimization techniques are the best in the world, like I rank number one, etc. And you don't, the person with a big ego will not have enough self-doubt in order to figure out, okay, what in this part of the algorithm I'm not fulfilling, and just try to figure that out, because they're gonna believe that they did the best job that they could.
Yes.
And I think like that is the mindset I was always trying to avoid, people with big egos. Because if you have a big ego, then you believe you're not wrong, and Google is going to show you that you can be wrong. And
Wow.
you need to have you need to understand that this is possible, and it's really not about you. It's about how Google processes what you've done, and you may need to amplify a certain ranking factor more. So that
Wow.
is something that that came to me as well.
Wow, but I think you really well described it, and it's the most undertouched thing. Not everybody's talking about soft skills, and especially the ego part. And I have faced this actually when I can recall. I have been dealing with good SEO managers in my team who've been doing a great job, obviously, but it comes at a cost of ego. That if we've done this is the perfect, this is the best way possible, and when the things doesn't work or something happens which did not work out, they do not have that bend in them that what went wrong, how can it go wrong. And then we've seen in the industries as well that then people post stuff like SEO is dead, Google is insane and stuff like that. But there's something you might have missed, right? There's something you need to work on now. So yes, that kind of attitude where you're able to bend yourself, or maybe you're flexible to grasp that kind of thing, and acceptable about that thing. I think that's a very important point you touched, and no one talks about that. Amazing. I'm really enjoying this podcast. I must tell you.
Let me provide just a small example to that. So, on Reddit, I don't remember which Reddit group was it, but there was this one guy who says that he had the best guides for a certain game.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, Google is not ranking my website anymore, like what's happening, etc. Exactly what you've described. And then people ask him to share the URL, and he shares the URL. And there was a guy who actually likes the game who actually tore him a new one. He was like, you are creating a guide for this game in 500 words. It's like like you provided no information. And then he goes like, because he's a very big expert in the game, he goes
Wow.
very granularly. He says, like, you're missing this part, you're missing this part, your biggest competitor has this one, you're missing this part, you're missing this part. And he just outlined all the things that the guy should have said in the ultimate guide, that
Yeah.
he said. Like, an ultimate guide of 500 words is not, like,
Correct.
and I actually screenshotted this and shared this with people because I thought it was like the best comment ever.
Wow.
Literally, if I was the owner of the website, I would have copied that guy's
Yes, obviously that's
put it on the website, because
that's
he gave so much insights, because he understood the topic really well. And
wow.
for me, like, exactly what you've described, people think that they've done an amazing job. The ultimate guide for this game, 500 words, like, I've done an amazing job. I have everything, have my metas in check, and the technical is good, etc. But you don't actually. You actually don't. And
Yes.
if you don't have the inner doubt, and if your ego is stopping you from looking at your work critically.
Correct. And not even SEO. I think overall in any ways, like my co-founder handles the ads part and stuff, and we always discuss about this thing that if the ROS is not that great, there's something we're missing. You cannot be egoistic about work or in any ways. Like the you can only learn. I what I think is that you can only learn and you can only grow yourself if you have that self doubt and if you have that kind of compassion at the same time that there's something which we need to learn, which still is not there. That is, I think, if you think that you've achieved everything, you know the best and you were the best, I think then the learning is stopped. It is halted, and you can even go down the lane. I think that's for everything, not even just SEO. That's a generally very important part you just touched. Amazing. And if it's possible, if you can share that screenshot of Reddit, we'll put
I
that for
will
the audience.
absolutely. I
Amazing.
am so in awe of that comment. I will share it. I will try and find the actual Reddit post, but like I'll find the screenshots there in my phone somewhere.
Definitely. Yeah, it's very important for the audience to actually also understand this, and even it's actually important for me as well.
Not a problem, not a problem. I will go
Yes.
on the hunt and I will find it.
Amazing, amazing. I always talk about the audience, that it is important for audience to know, but actually I'm benefiting myself as well. I'm learning a lot. I know hiring or your 1 hour would not be possible. It would be very difficult to actually learn from you, and this I think this is the best way. Bringing you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Amazing. Okay, so I have another follow-up question to this. Okay, to the team setup. Okay, what is your maybe KPIs, or what do you think as KPIs when you talk about setting up a small team which has SEO, a developer, a product, or a content team? So, what do you think that is required in how much synergies, and what are the basic KPIs you look and then you build a basically small team for a project or maybe for yourself? What would you look into?
Okay, in short,
Yeah.
you need a really good SEO, and
Mm-hmm.
that SEO needs to be the main voice in the room, but it's
Okay.
also exactly, especially in gambling affiliation, but also like all the other, but also he needs to listen to subject matter experts.
Okay.
So obviously, like it's good that you have like people who can run right away. So
Mm-hmm.
I would like if I were starting to create a small team from scratch, I would need experts who are willing to run right away,
Uh-huh.
and SEO needs to be the most important person in the room,
Okay.
who also needs to listen to other subject matter experts in terms of content, in terms of development, in terms of backlinks, or what else in terms of product. So
Amazing.
that would be the main setup that I would say, and those people need to collaborate and they need to work together.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, SEO and dev need to collaborate in a way that the website is well optimized and
Uh-huh.
it continues to be well optimized and well developed in terms of features that you need to have. And SEO
Okay.
and content need to collaborate in terms of the content person could be the subject matter as
Uh-huh.
expert, and SEO could make sure that what they write, Google understands, can process, and will rank well. So like it's a very collaborative effort, and it needs to happen on all fronts. I would still say that you need an SEO without an ego to decide on these things in a collaborative manner, and I would still pick the SEO to be the most important person in that team, slightly most important person in that team.
Amazing. Very well explained. Very well explained. You nailed it. Amazing. So now let's talk about the philosophy and execution. Okay. So
Okay.
this part is very much again connected to your mindset, and we've done the thorough research on you. So we want to make sure that we everything we take out as a knowledge from you and for the audience is so much based on your experience and your mindset, and that's I think we're trying to do that well, I think. And hats off to the team. My team has done a good research on this. um,
I agree.
yeah. So you've said in the past that don't toot your own horn, right? So in simple English, that means that you do not just say good about yourself, but you actually let the results speak for yourself, right? So but in today's build in public era, when everything is so much, you have spotlights on yourself and everybody's just watching you in that kind of scenario, what has worked against you and what has worked in favor of you?
You're very much correct there. I think people should toot their own horn a little bit more, especially if they've done something that they are proud of. Um, for me, it's not who I am, unfortunately. I am probably the person that, just likes to just do SEO and just lets the results speak. But I've noticed as I move further in my career, that I should be able and I should be comfortable with, like pointing out the results that we've achieved as well, and not just saying, like it was a team effort and then, but like actually, you know, just like pointing out, okay, I can be proud of this, the and get to that part. I think it's something I've never been comfortable with, and I'm trying to teach myself how to do it because I'm actually not comfortable with receiving praise. It's a weird thing to say, and I'm being unexpectedly vulnerable at this point. But I always tend to brush it off, and I think like I should probably at some point just like learn to accept it and
Correct.
learn to to live with it. And it is something that I'm trying to do, as I've seen that it is really necessary at some point, not to be like the main person to take all the credit and everything else, but just to kind of bring your results to light. I think it's one of the things that you should do for yourself, and also just for other people who might be inclined to learn from you as well. I think it's a good example.
Correct.
Unfortunately, it's not something that I have learned yet to do, so I'll get there.
I'll push you for that. I'll be after you for that. I'll tell you why I'm saying this, because I've been a very in a similar journey, that I have been very silent and under the rock for 12 years. I had a mindset that work secretly and let's keep the results and case studies to ourselves and that kind of system. But in last year, I've changed a lot, and that is why, because of the change, I'm able to do the podcast. And that's not very much connected, but I'll tell you how. The thing is that it's very good for the PR as well. Now, if you show your results, it's in today's world. 12, 15 years ago, there were no good SEOs. It was not the industry like it is today. And I think that it's now the time finally I accept that it is the time to actually showcase your stuff. Not everything, obviously, in a way it is acceptable or to your clients, you Wendy's and all that stuff. But yes, it's the time to actually be compassionate about your results and be happy about, and maybe publicly share that knowledge or maybe acknowledge it, because one, it is good for your PR. Second, people should know, and it is building in the public can also help you. Everything has its pros and cons, obviously, but I think overall, moving forward, that can be the right way to go forward. Why Koray is famous? Because he's shown his case studies. Why Kashra is famous? Why James is famous? Why other guys are famous? Because why Carl is famous? Because they're showing what they've done and they have achieved something, right? So I think if you've done something, it is good to show in a way that it doesn't harm you, but it helps the audience and builds your brand, right? Building brand is something. Personal branding is very much connected to this discussing about your results and stuff. So I think it took me a lot of years to actually run down this path, and I finally accept what my team is trying to tell me. My team was pushing me that you should do this, but eventually, yes, it is helping us a lot, and I'm sure that it's not easy, but once you do it, I think it's going to be amazing. And you're doing a great job in the podcast as well. So
Thank
you're on
you.
the right path.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
It's working.
Amazing. Yes, it's working. Of course, it's working. Thank you for sticking till the end of the conversation with us. We hope you found as much value as we did while creating it. If you enjoyed the podcast and want us to bring more such influential guests, then please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Honestly, each like and subscribe help us keep going. It keeps us motivated to make such content which is filled with insights and strategies for you. If you enjoyed the podcast and want us to bring more such influential guests, then don't forget to like and subscribe. Honestly, each like or a subscribe help us keep going and make such content which is filled with insights and valuable knowledge for you. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Anything you would like to tell us about the podcast? Whom do you want to see in the next podcast? And what kind of questions do you want to ask? And hey, just don't keep the conversation with yourself. Share this podcast with at least one person, can be a friend, colleague, or a family member, or anyone you think can benefit from learning something valuable or getting a fresh perspective. After all, one conversation, one perspective can truly change someone's life. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode of the Business Playbook by Gundeep.